for discussion today. Dr. Constance Ikoku is a journalist, political affairs commentator, and a Rise News analyst. Baba Yusuf is a policy strategist, political commentator, and group CEO of the Global Investment and Trade Company. And Dr. Austin Maho is a lecturer and researcher with Nigeria's National Open University and is also the publisher of Daybreak newspaper here in Abuja, and he has the rather unfortunate luck of being in our off-site studio today, although hopefully he can hear me and we can all engage in a round table chat. Gentlemen and lady, thank you very much indeed for joining us. And in recognition of the fact that you're not with us in the main studio, Dr. Austin Maho, let me come to you first. Could this be a crucial moment in Nigeria's political history? I'm wondering what your assessment of how crucial a victory this is for Atiku Abubakar and the PDP in Chicago.
Well, thank you, Charles. Nice to be in the studio again. Even if I'm not in the main studio, but at least I'm in the studio and I can follow proceeding, accurately. However, based on your question, I don't think, when the story broke yesterday, this afternoon, there was celebration. But the question we should ask is this: what will be the effect if the document is released? What will be the effect? Does it have any consequential effect on the eventual outcome of the decision already reached without prejudice to the final decision as expected from the Supreme Court? Will it have any consequential effect? Certainly not. Certainly not. It's not going to, because I'm not a lawyer, but I've had the privilege of having a legal opinion, a legal expert weighing on the issue. And from all indication, look, the decision to be reached by the Supreme Court is not going to be affected by whatever document that the Illinois High Court is going to, Chicago State University, based on the Illinois High Court, the decision is going to release to the public. It's not going to have any consequential effect. If, in any case, it's going to be two ways. Either it affirms the record already in the public domain, or maybe it could disprove most of the document already put out there by the Tinubu camp. If that be the case, what I see is that it will only put a moral burden on Mr. President, not that it's going to compel him in any way to leave office. So at the end of the day, it may lead to agitation on moral grounds. And it could lead to maybe, in another instance, make the National Assembly to proceed against him on moral grounds. But that is going to affect, because what the Supreme Court is sitting on is what is already before them, the judgment of the Presidential Appeal Tribunal, or the Presidential Appeal Court. They are sitting on that decision. I don't think they're in a position to receive fresh document or any fresh document in relation to what has been decided on. They are sitting, a decision has been reached, so they are sitting on that decision. And of course, we do know that Atiku and Peter Obi have already filed grounds for appeal, which excludes whatever document will be presented maybe before the end of the week, like you said, from Chicago State University. I don't think it will have any consequential effect in regards to the Supreme Court's judgment.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed for that opening intro. And let me come to you, Dr. Ikoku, there, because I would imagine that, contrary to what Dr. Austin Maho is saying there, that this goes beyond a moral issue. It's a constitutional issue. There's an issue of the legality of a submission under oath to INEC if that is found to be false. Atiku Abubakar, of course, has always argued that Mr. Tinubu should not have been allowed to run for president because he had submitted what Mr. Atiku said was a forged document under oath in violation of the Nigerian constitution. What's your take on that?
Well, the starting point is that President Bola Tinubu's case or academic records has been under contention and litigation for a long time. Almost the whole of his political life, and this includes his primary school certificate, his secondary school certificate, and then the university degree. In this particular case, what I think that the opposition is doing is to see that they exhaust all available channels to show that there are questions to the integrity of his background or the background that the president has presented to the public. Yes, the first speaker mentioned that it might not affect the Supreme Court judgment or the Supreme Court verdict, but I suspect that part of the thing that's going to happen here, if these records are released and it happens that indeed he attended Chicago State University, okay, that's good for him. It puts paid to all the suspicions and rumors regarding his record from that university. But if it does not, if it turns out that he did not attend that university or something else happened, I think part of the thing is that they want to, as much as possible, bloody his image and his reputation. There are so many things that have been thrown against the president, or they have been thrown against the president, and this has happened throughout his political life. And yes, he is the president. He might win at the Supreme Court legally, but morally he carries around that burden. Morally, there is the lack of belief or believability in this person and in who he says he is compared to who he is presenting to the public. So I think these are the things that are going on at this particular time. And it's also a big news for the opposition party. Why? Because the camp of the president had tried to make sure or to fight against the release of this record. So the fact that the court in Illinois decided that it is important that this record be released, I think is a breakthrough for the opposition. Whether or not it impacts the Supreme Court is another thing, but it is a breakthrough for them nevertheless.
Well, let me come to you, Baba Yusuf, because we know that recently Chicago State University appeared to confirm that Mr. Tinubu attended the school and graduated with a bachelor's degree in 1979. I mean, in that regard, do you wonder why Mr. Abubakar and the PDP have persisted in their quest to gain access to Mr. Tinubu's records?
Thank you, Charles. I think why the opposition candidates are pushing forward to this level is that a court of competent jurisdiction within the United States of America, having taken this position, will be the last line of what I call validation or otherwise of the credentials of Mr. President vis-a-vis his degree that he earned in the Chicago State University. This, to my mind, will bring to rest the issue and controversy around the truth or otherwise of President Tinubu attending Chicago State University and graduating. So from the perspective of unraveling or validating what is there as a truth is key to Nigerians, is key to the history, to the political history of Nigeria. And if affirmed or confirmed to be true, will further validate and give more credibility than it is to the presidency of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Further to that, to add my voice to its impact on the Supreme Court consideration, as the first and second speaker mentioned, it is elementary in law that matters that go to the Supreme Court will not be subjected to fresh evidences presented before the apex court. The court will consider all issues before it in line with the judgment passed by the Court of Appeal. That being said, if for any reason, contrary to the truth comes out as the fact with regards to the credentials of Mr. President, it will surely stir the hornet's nest within the polity First of all, the moral issue on the legitimacy of Mr. President sitting with regards to the forgery case, which becomes a perjury issue, becomes a criminal issue on one part, beyond the qualification issue. Mr. President already is Mr. President. He's enjoying immunity as we speak as president. What will remain to be seen is how that will pan out with regards to his being an incumbent president. If for any reason it is, you know, the deposition by the school, which I suspect will not be different from what they have come out to say. I don't foresee an American institution like the Chicago State University to come out with a contrary view from what they have brought out to the public, you know, on their own independently, especially given the fact that this matter has been a thorny issue. In fact, the Nigerians and other interested parties had to force the Chicago University to come out to say, hey, these are the facts with regards to, you know, the credentials of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in our records. However, a court deposition will put to rest this issue going forward.